Oh, hello, welcome back to the channel. So it's still a little bit warm in here. It's quite muggy and it's very close, but also very foggy as well. But it's okay in here, so let's take the coat off. So it is another foggy day, but it is autumn, so what do we expect? But today I got quite a few things I want to do, and I've noticed there's quite a few little seedlings, little weed seeds coming through, and even some tomatoes where I took the compost from the old polytunnel beds and brought it over here. I've noticed some little tomato seedlings that come through, so I'm gonna have to hoe through the bed, the one bed that's built. I'm trying to get as many little jobs as I can done today, so yeah, we shall see. Yeah, all the leaves are definitely now turning yellow and brown and dropping off all the trees. So it's definitely time now where we're going to be wet, cold and muggy, but I'm sure we'll be fine. I don't mind autumn. It's the time for preparing and getting ready for spring. So I'm all for it. But oh yeah, one thing as well is, I don't know if you've noticed, but I've got some nice new welly boots from the Merry people. I'll put a link in the description for these, and if anyone has noticed on my channel, I love yellow. I love orange as well, but I love yellow. You know, my rucksack, my phone case, everything is yellow if I can, and these are absolutely beautiful. And yeah, they're bright yellow, so you won't miss these on the plot. But I'm through, and they're so comfortable and warm as well, and my feet is dry. I've been wearing them for a few days now, and I think I'll be wearing them to spring Malvern as well, because they're definitely comfortable. And so have a look in the link in the description for these. But yeah, thank you so much, Merry people, for sending me these, because these definitely will help me out on the plot. So one thing I am a little bit behind with this year is the spring bulbs. Now I have got bags and boxes full of spring bulbs, and ideally they should have been out about a month ago for me, but these things happen. I've now started preparing that area at the front of the polytunnel, but I still need to get some guttering, so I'm going to hopefully do that tomorrow and fit that up so that it takes off a lot of the water running down, because I don't want to rot the bulbs. You know, I know they can be planted in autumn and they can withstand a lot of water, but we've already seen that this tunnel can sometimes take up to 1,000 litres or more overnight. Now that's a lot to go into a tiny little bed all the way down the side of the polytunnel. They'll literally be living in a waterfall for most of the season, so I want to try and divert the water so that at least it goes onto the paths and then can run off, and then hopefully dry up that little area there as well. But we shall see. We shall see what happens. I'm not sure whether or not I want to add a water butt or something small on the one side to try and collect some water and then let the overflow run off. We'll decide that tomorrow. So when at Malvern, I bought some Globemaster giant alliums. Now they go huge, and I love alliums, so I'm hoping I've got 6 of these here. Now this one is looking a little bit damp, so we shall see what happens with this one. I hope it doesn't rot, but I've got 6 of those, and I've also got a pile of other things as well. I've got these allium Schuberti tumbleweed onions. Now these look beautiful. I've got 5 of these as well, so I'm hoping that they'll put some colour onto the plot as well. They're like a lilac pink colour in summer, so they'll have to go in. And I mean, I could do 2 videos on all the spring bulbs that I'm growing this year. And I mean, I've got some off Farmer Gracie, some off Bulby, so they'll be coming up on Wednesday videos, which is, well, it will be coming up on a Wednesday sometime, so hopefully soon, maybe next week or the week after, because they'll definitely need to be going in soon. I've decided that perhaps I'm going to put them all at the front of the fig and olive plot and create a new bed there, because I don't want to put them in the raised beds, because if they're quite tall anyway, I want to turn that into some kind of mixed wild looking alliums and then all the shrubbery underneath. So yeah, that should look beautiful as well in spring and summer. So there's plenty planned. I just need millions of hours of time. So yeah, hopefully we'll get it done. I'm sure we will. So today I want to get out most of these brassicas, or at least take a big dent out of this tray area here, because the mustards, the kales, the broccoli, the collie, the cabbage, you name it, it's all growing here now. But I want to get some out, and I've also got some spinach as well. So I think I'm going to do a bit of a plant out in the big bed today inside the polytunnel. I think I'll hoe it through, mulch it with a couple of bags of compost so that it's got some good feed, and give it a good water. I'm tempted because I've actually got like a watering system, not the one that's going to go in here, that's going to be industrial and over the top, and yeah, it's going to be a bit of a space age polytunnel in spring. But I've got another one as well that I've had for about 2 years, and I used to water the greenhouse on the grapevine plot. It's solar powered as well, so I'm thinking about just putting it on that bed and setting it just to water once a week, so that it doesn't get too wet, but it also just gives it a little bit of water just in case I forget, because yeah, that could happen, and it does happen. Hey, so yeah, I've got quite a lot going in here, and I need to start pricking out things as well. I've got pak choys, mustards, lettuces that are desperate to be pricked out, to be honest. So today is going to be a bit of a plant out, a prick out, plant out, prick out, and try and get some structure done on this plot, and maybe a good tidy up as well. So like I always say, let's go. So when I was over here the other day, I noticed this. Now it looks like half a barrel is white. I'm probably going to pressure wash it to try and get it a bit tidy, but it looks perfect. Like, it's waterproof as well. It's got a screw-on lid on it. Now I don't know whether, now there's a bit of mucky water in there. I think they used it for nettles. Oh, anyway, back to the video. Yeah, so I think I'm going to wash this out, and I either use it for compost or to keep seed in. It's a nice tight drum, and someone left it over in our communal area, and a lot of times people put things there that they don't really need, but they don't want to throw away and put in landfill. So, you know, one man's junk is another man's treasure, and I definitely thought and seen that, thought, if I don't take this, Linda's definitely going to want it for something. So I thought I'd take it, and then I'm either going to drill some holes in it. I mean, even if I use it for some potatoes or carrots. Now this would be great for carrots. I mean, there's a good depth on it. You could put some manure on the bottom and then some sifted compost all the way up to the top. So there's possibilities for this, but yeah, I'm happy with that little find. Now I was planning on tidying this area here as well, but it's wet, it's muggy, and it's going to be really, really messy. And I was hoping to try and have a day at the plot today, which I didn't look like I'd been working on the farm all day. That was kind of what I was hoping for, but we shall see what happens. I always say I'm not going to do something, and then I end up doing it. Now, another good thing about having a polytunnel, it's not all about the growing space, but it's also about the storage as well. I mean, you can put a lot up in your rafters in your roof. I mean, I put my rake up here, raised beds up there for future projects, nets, you name it, you can store it up there, and I use that space as much as I can. Now, you've got to be careful that you don't puncture the plastic, but as long as you're sensible and you take your time, it's a good little place to put things and store. And the worst thing to do is to stack your bean canes up against your shed, and they're vertically and they're sat on the soil, and they'll just literally rot through. Rain will go into the top of them as well, fill up, and when it freezes they'll split the ends of the canes. So the best thing to do is to store them in a shed or in a polytunnel if you can, and horizontally keep them nice and dry. Now don't get me wrong, there will be some moisture off the polytunnel that will drop on them, but it'll dry. You know, it's not constantly being saturated by the rain. So use your polytunnel, your sheds in winter, not just for making a cup of coffee and staying up the warm, but for storing all those things that you don't want to rot and rust. Now you'll notice I'll be bringing all my archways in at some point as well. Don't know where, because I want to try and keep this as tidy as I can. But I don't like them to stay out all autumn and winter, because they'll rust, and there's no point. They'll last longer if you just pop them out and bring them inside if you can. Now, it is a bit fiddly if you want to take them apart, but Yeah, I always try and get as much as I can and bunker down for winter. It's not just you want to keep safe over winter, you want to look after your garden stuff as well. Now, every year there seems to be some kind of little fad or phase that people highlight on YouTube videos, and this year seems to be leaf mold. Now, this goes around, I mean, there is cycles of things to do in autumn, and leaf mold is one of the things that you can do. So I've been watching the videos and I've been thinking, should I start a leaf mold pile? Now, I'm not really in a position right now to be building those things, but I'm thinking the leaves are there now, so should I do that at some point as well? Now, I might do a more simpler version or use one of the Daleks that I've had donated to the plot, but yeah, it is on my mind. And also the pallets that I bought as well. Now, I paid for 10. I received 14 because they had a few extra on the truck that they wanted to just give me, basically. So I've got 14, so I want to use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I want to use about 7 for the compost bay area, and then I've got 7 spare as well, which I want to use for another project, which I'm going to show you later on. That's not a project for now. We need to put that on the back burner. So I'm thinking about trying at the back of the plot, building the compost area, because before long I'm going to have to start taking all the last bits of plants, and the compost bays on the fig and olive plot, they could become leaf mold bins. Now, I might put one on the fig and olive plot then, and then one on here, so then I'll have my 3 bays for compost to rotate the compost, and then I could use those little fancy compost bays I've got for leaf molds. That's not a bad idea, because I'll be using them up then as well, because they're decent. They're working really well. I've had them now for nearly 2 years, and I love them because the fronts come off and they're stackable. You can make them as high and as low as you want. But I don't want to build this new compost area and then they become nothing, you know, taking them apart and rotting on the side. So maybe they'll become the new leaf mold bins, so Linda will be pleased. Now, this is again a project as well that I'm not putting off, because it will be done, but there's a lot of nasturtiums growing through here still, and I'm sure the frost will knock them down before long. But this has become a little bit of a dumping ground. I've never really used this area. Now, to be fair, I haven't had this plot as long as people might think. So this area at the back here was originally going to be a patio area, but I am going to put the compost areas at the back first, then make this more into like a patio and put loads of potted plants. But I've also got a cherry tree and a plum tree from the grapevine plot that I still need to dig up from down there and bring up here. So I'm thinking maybe putting the cherry tree down there. I don't know what to do, because I don't want it to start empowering, because I've got a cherry tree here as well. So yeah, and a part of me thought, like, why don't I just leave the cherry tree down there for the new plot holder and then just have this one here? But that one down there is really prolific and I love it. I bought it for my first ever plot, so it's quite sentimental to me that I've had it now for a few years, and I've moved it a few plot. I will have to dig it up, remove all the soil from the roots, give it a little wash, because I don't want any bindweed or anything to be brought up to this plot. And yeah, hopefully, but I don't want to put it on this area, because this area I do want to have bed after bed after bed. Now, it sounds a bit boring, but I do need some more raised beds like these ones over here. Now, I've only got 6. Now, on the grapevine plot I had, I think, nearly 11 or 12 wooden raised beds. So I'm 6 down really that I need for my little growing production line. Now, I have got all the metal raised beds as well, but they're a little bit smaller. So I'm hoping I can get another 4 at least wooden raised beds on this area at the front. And then, who knows, maybe I could fit the cherry tree on here and then put the plum tree at the back of the fig and olive plot in between the shed and the fruit cage. The fruit cage is going to be filled up soon as well, so I'm looking forward to that. That might be a Wednesday video as well, you know, filling up the fruit cage, because I've got quite a few black currants, blueberries, white currants, red currants, and I also want to do a thornless blackberry as well. So I want to try and pop them all out, because they're all in pots, and then kind of move them all around a little bit and try and work out if it's all going to fit, and where I've still got some space to go around and harvest as well in summer. So yeah, exciting times. Now, the other day I noticed a little hole by here and I've covered up the soil, and today I've come back and there's a new hole there. So I think I'm going to leave the trail camera up on here. I'm hoping it's not a rat because it's quite a small hole. So if it's a little dormouse or something, that's okay. I don't mind that. But yeah, let's pop the trail camera up and we'll see what it is. So I've got this trail camera. Now, I did have 2 of these, but when we had a break-in last year, they stole it. But this one luckily wasn't. So I'm going to place this on that bed. Maybe pop a stake behind it. Now, it comes with a strap and it also comes with a wall bracket as well. Now, these are fantastic. I normally check on the hedgehogs, on the wildlife, and it's fantastic. Now, I have got another camera as well that I've got set up on the plot, which I'm going to do a video on that soon as well, another Wednesday video. And because I feel like a lot of my videos, I've not got enough time in the video. I mean, sometimes they're 28 to 31 minutes long, and you won't believe how much I cut out. So I'm hoping to, like, now and again, I'll just put out a little shorter Wednesday video to kind of buff up and fill up what's happened in the week. Sometimes you'll come over and go like, where did that come from? So I might do one on the cameras and setting up and why I use them on the plot. But this one is great. It's solar power, just like my other one. So it needs no charging. So I'm going to pop this up and we'll hopefully find out there's a little mouse and not a rat. And the good thing about this one as well is that you can connect it to your phone so that I can actually position it where I want and check. And yeah, you can actually view all the clips as well on your phone while you're here, rather than taking the little card home, put it on your computer and then trolling through all the clips of the blackbirds just eating things and walking past your plot and things. So you can actually pick which ones you want and then save them directly on your phone and head home. So let's set this up. Now, I think I'm just going to use a fork and pop this here, fasten him on. Right, so I've turned the camera on via Bluetooth. It's found it, perfect, straight away. Turn on the internal Wi-Fi. There we go. Now, as you can see, the camera now is pointing too far up, so I'll tilt him down. I kind of want it to be a little more like so. Okay, so we're actually on the hole now. We got camera vision on this, so hopefully we can now capture what's in that blinking hole. So I am thinking about getting another one of those cameras, you know, the nature trail cameras. I do miss having the second one for the other plot. Now, it's not for security really, because it doesn't really do it that well, because they could just pinch them, you know, but it's more for trying to find out, well, you know, what's been going on in your plot when you're not there, you know, like hedgehogs, you know, blackbirds, robins, Lindas. I'm joking. Linda came over and she brought over my Tupperware box because I made a beautiful, absolutely beautiful beef in red wine casserole the other day with all the plot veg, and it was absolutely stunning with some nice creamy cheesy mustard mash, and it was absolutely stunning to the point where I thought I couldn't just eat all this, it was so much. So I shared with all the staff at work, and Linda and Doug had some as well for their tea, and she just dropped the Tupperware box back so she wasn't sneaking onto the plot. She wouldn't do that, would she? No.
I can feel there is somebody here, and he's watching over me tonight as he takes away my fears, lets me know there's a heaven up there. Yeah, he's reaching out his hand to me to wash away my tears. Oh, I know you and I praise you. Got my arms open for your love. Oh, I want to be near you. I hear angels from up above. They sing hallelujah. They sing hallelujah.
So I've planted out some purple sprouting broccoli, some greyhound cabbages, some April cabbages, 3 broccoli, 3 collie, some coriander, and also on the side of the bed here, close to the polytunnel plastic, we'll get the most cold. I've put in down 5 elephant garlic as well, so we'll see what happens on that side. The next side, on the other side of the polytunnel, I haven't built the bed yet, but I am gonna weed that through now in the next couple of days and plant out the rest of the mustards, the spinaches, the lettuce, the spring onions, and all the other bits and bobs that I've got left in that side of the bed. All the lambs are as well, if you can hear them as well. So yeah, so I'm going to do all that side as well, and I might plant out then some silver moon onions as well. Now I'm not sure where I'm going to plant them yet, but the spacing is done well. I've only watered underneath the brassica plant. Now you don't want to be saturating all that soil and getting it all wet, because slugs then will love to walk all over that. So try and keep the compost on top as dry as you can, only watering where the plant is, and hopefully we won't have much slug damage. Now in my experience, I found that cocoa coir, when it's really, really dry, slugs hate walking all over it. It's a bit too coarse for them. So I've got these huge blocks here, and I'm gonna mulch this bed with it eventually. I'm trying to keep a few jobs for another day. I should do it now, but I haven't decided about the planting yet, so we shall see. But yeah, like I said, I've got this, and I'm hoping it'll help towards the slug prevention. Now I have done this before, and I did it on a salad bed outside, and the sun was baking on this all through the summer, and it kept them all off my lettuces. So yeah, we shall see. It feels absolutely amazing that I'm already starting to plant things out in the polytunnel, and hopefully they'll come quicker as well for spring, and then before long then they'll be taken out and the tomatoes will be put back in. So it's a continuous cycle in this polytunnel, so don't think they're just for spring and summer. Now I didn't finish off the onion planting the other day as well. I just got carried away with other jobs. So I've now pulled all these out of the module trays, and I'm ready to plant these up. So let's get these done, and many other jobs. Now I've used these in the past for strawberries and pak choi, so I think I'm going to put 10 down the one side of strawberries for now, and then when the pak choys get bigger, put another 10 down the other side. So it's nice to have that luxury in this polytunnel to have so much that you can grow. So let's plant these up now with some strawberries that I've got, and yeah, we should have a nice flush of strawberries early on in spring. Now at the bottom of these I've got some well rotted manure compost. Now this was put in the compost base, God, when I first took over the fig and olive plot, and I've left it in there for so long. Now I'm hoping there's no slug eggs in here, but if there is, we'll deal with it later on. But the reason I've done this is because I want it to hold as much moisture as I can, and the goodness in this will feed those strawberries in early spring, and they'll be greedy plants, and the compost alone will dry out. So with this medium, it should hold the moisture really well. Now I will put some compost on the top just to give it a bit of a feed, but it's good stuff. It's crumbly, it's holding the moisture. Now don't worry if there's bits of bark in there as well. Just bury them under, because people stress out a bit of bark, and a lot of people comment and say things like, God, my compost dries out if I use those hanging baskets. Now this is how I tackle it. You can have those water retention crystals as well, but I'd rather use the good stuff if I can. So I'm going to top this up with compost now after I've planted it up. But I think I'm going to put 2 plants in each, because I don't want to overpower it and think, oh, I'll just cram a few more in, and then I'll have smaller strawberries. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 plants. Let's go. Now I've shown you these S hooks before. Now the top one is bigger than the lower one, and now this is perfect because the top one is actually the perfect size for first tunnels poles. Now the reason is because you don't want to be putting this plastic onto this, because the cover is drum tight, so you want to fit it in between. Now I gotta be honest, I haven't got as much room on this one as I did on my other tunnel. This is really tight on here, so I'm managing just in between here at the moment. Now I might run a line through, a wire line, so I can hang more and more across here, but for now I'm just going to use where the poles meet, because there is a gap here. So we'll put 3 on this side and 3 on this side for now. So yeah, like I said, this is perfect for like pak choi. It keeps them off the ground, and the flea beetle don't tend to get up that high either. So you're in for a bit of a winner really, because I've noticed if you have lettuces through winter, especially in your tunnel and your greenhouse, the flea beetle will just put tiny little holes in all your plants. Doesn't look the best, and also slugs devour it all. So at least these will be off the ground and nice and protected. Now that's for this pak choi. These are the strawberries, so these are mainly brought up high just to get as much light as they can, and it does give you that extra space to grow some strawberries for spring rather than using your bed. So let's get these up. It's absolutely amazing to start putting things in the tunnel and you know that spring's coming, because these are all the things that you'd usually be planting up in spring. So I'm getting an early start on things and it just feels amazing. So yeah, tunnel is starting to fill up. Now these trays are from B&Q. I think they're about £2 each, and these are my container wise. Now these are perfect really to hold these in, because they hold a bit of water, and in spring then you haven't got to worry about them drying out as much. So I've got some lettuce, and I've also got some mustards and some pak choys as well that I want to prick out into here. So let's get that done. Now I have checked these for slugs. I've checked underneath the trays, and I've also checked all in between these gaps, because they will hide in there, and that's the last thing you want to do. So this is where I say you need to be careful when you're potting on and stuff. Now inside here, these were the lettuces that I sowed by using compost that I had outside in a bag. And look inside here, slug eggs. Now if I would have carried on leaving this here, these would have hatched and then baby slugs would have devoured everything in here. So this will have to go. Now these I will try and protect under a cloche just for a bit as well, just to give them that little bit of TLC. Hopefully they'll do okay and we can plant them out. Now make sure you do give some ventilation as well. It's just to keep the cold weather off them a little bit, and then they should flourish in there, hopefully. So I mentioned last week about all the little baby leather jackets that were all flying inside the tunnel. So I'm a little bit worried about the leather jackets that were all in here as well, the daddy long legs. Now the grubs of those, once they hatch in the soil, they eat all your roots and they're an absolute nightmare. So I'm worried that they've laid into this soil as well, and that's going to be a problem for later on. So I have ordered some nematodes so that I can water in here, and I'll do the paths, the beds out here, and then as much as I can outside as well, just to try and knock them back. But yeah, hopefully I can get that done this week as well. But overall, I'm pleased with the progress. Now I popped home because I had a notification saying my nematodes had arrived for the leather jackets. Now there's nothing worse than getting those grubs in the soil you plant something and then it burrows into it and eats all the roots and kills your plant. It's an absolute nightmare, especially if you get them into your soil. They're a nightmare to get out. You have to dig them out and discard of them basically. And I noticed when I took over this plot that there was a few in the soil that I noticed. So, and this area's got quite a lot of grassy patches as well, so they would have loved that. So anyway, I've got it in here now. This one is for the leather jackets, but they do many different ones as well for like vine weevils, and also one for slugs, which I use after the last frost in spring. So I'll do another video on that again. I've shown it a few times, but I swear by it, putting the nematodes down in, you know, early spring after the last frost just knocks off those tiny little ones that don't grow into the big ones and then ruins your crops. So today I'm going to add this. Now this little packet of like brownie powder, add this to a 5 litre bucket, and then decanter it then after you've stirred it for quite a while. Decanter it then into watering cans and then water your beds. Now I'm going to do both sides of here, and I'm probably going to do outside as well if I've got enough left. So yeah. Now before I do it as well, can you believe it, in this little packet there's 50 million nematodes in here. So they'll burrow down into the soil. You want to do it before it gets frosty, you know, you start going down into the minuses, because that will kill them off. So get it done now, and hopefully they'll sort out my problem, if I have one. So for outside, you won't have to worry so much because it'll rain and it'll wash them all in. But ideally, you don't want the soil to dry out, because that will kill the nematodes off. So you want the soil to be nice and damp for a while, and it's perfect because it's been raining all night and it's going to rain again later. So inside the polytunnel, I will put a few watering cans of water after this, just to make sure that those beds are nice and wet. But this should help towards the leather jackets. Now you won't stop them all, but you should be able to knock some back. So that's my aim today, is just to try and knock them back as much as I can. Now it can clog up your rows as well a little bit, but don't worry, just take it off and put as much as you can, but try and spread it out as evenly as possible. But another job done. Now I'm just applying water, like I said, just to keep this nice and damp, which is putting the plants at risk a little bit, because I mentioned earlier on about keeping this soil around the plants as dry as possible to stop the slugs, but it's just one of those things, you've got to take a gamble. And another thing that people worry about as well is whether or not the nematodes will affect your crops or you. They're harmless to you and harmless to your crops. So yeah, I swear by them, especially for the slugs. They knock those slugs back. You never see my crops with loads and loads of slug holes in spring, so I swear by it. So it's been about a week now since I planted the garlic, and it won't be long before it'll start shooting up. So I'm going to give it one last hoe on this bed, just to knock off any other weed seeds before they start shooting up, because the last thing you want is this bed full of weeds. I'm Danny, and this is Grow Up.